And look at the bankers today, man, what they've done to us. They've kept all our money.
Jihad is a liberating concept. Now, I'm not going to talk about the spiritual type of jihad, the jihad of the nafs, which is very important, and we know this. Because if you do jihad and you don't do it for Allah's sake, you're in hell. And you die, you go straight to hell. So that means there must have been a jihad of the nafs going on before, that you did it solely for the sake of Allah.
Our brother, well, you say brother, he's a brother in humanity. You're my brother in humanity. He's my brother in humanity and in the faith of Islam. Okay. Okay, fine. It means God is great. Yeah. Okay. So, Hamza Tzortzis, of course, he's actually Greek, not Pakistani. Please, He in fact is, you can see he's a little bit Pakistani, but anyway, you can see he's a little bit Pakistani, but anyway.
The fact that it's inconceivable to you just means you're ignorant.
Thank you.
Okay, now, this idea that Occam's razor suggests, first of all, Occam's razor is not a principle of science. Don't be sorry.
I've been sitting on the fence the whole night, you see.
It doesn't offend me.
Okay, it's painful sitting on fences. Hamza and Professor Krauss, I think you guys have been amazing tonight. Don't you think?
I don't think so.
claim of Islam and all religions is that their texts are a source of a perfect kind of morality. Now, I'm still going to start at 65.4. If you are in doubt concerning all of your wives who have ceased menstruating, know that their waiting period shall be 3 months. The same shall apply to those who have not yet menstruated. As we know, the marriage of children in Islam is permitted, and the Prophet Muhammad himself took a wife at the age of 6, and the marriage was consummated at the age of 9, as we are informed.
This is our law. It's nothing to do with age. Now listen to the principles if we're principled. Number 1, is she physically fit? Number 2, is she emotionally ready? Number 3, is she mentally ready? Number 4, is it socially acceptable? Number 5, all of these different kind of principles that we apply. And it happened that there's an outlier from the statistics that a 9-year-old was physically fit, was mentally ready, was even given away by her own father and her tribe.
This is something Hamza Tzortzis said in 2008. We as Muslims reject the idea of freedom of speech, even the idea of freedom. So Hamza, does this mean that you want to, did you have your way to muzzle me and murder me? Lock me up?
You're a liar.
This is from your website. So.
No, it's not. Why would I put that on my own website? Just like your colleague who said there's no knowledge in Islam when it's mentioned 100 times in the Quran. This is lies This is deceitful, and I'm glad you're not a politician. And I'm glad you're irrelevant in this society. This is immoral. It's not on my website. It's an accusation about me. There's a difference. Can we read?
However, we as Muslims reject the idea of freedom of speech and even the idea of freedom. And we see under the Khilafah, when people used to engage in a positive way, this idea of freedom was redundant. The type of jihad we're going to talk about is when Muslims go and fight. Now, jihad has been linked to terrorism, but we know when we look at the holistic nature of the Quran and Sunnah, not just one hadith or just one verse, but we look at all of them together in a holistic nature. We take all the corpus of reference material in the Quran and Sunnah, we know that this cannot be further from the truth. Jihad is when Muslims go to war, and it has its rules as we discussed. And there are two types of jihad: defensive and progressive. So this is why we have to talk about now the Quran and fighting. So the Quran does talk about fighting, talks about jihad, and the language is quite emotive. The language of the Quran is, Allah loves those who fight in His cause, smite their necks, kill them wherever you find them. Inna Allah yuhibbul ladina yuqatiluna fi sabilillah. You know, it's like, oh my God, what book is this?
When we start busting our guns, you think the politicians are going to die? No, it's going to be the average guy like you and your children.
Number one, is she physically fit? Number two, is she emotionally ready? Number three, is she mentally ready? Number four, is it socially acceptable?
Number 5, is anyone going to ask what I think?